I was standing in the kitchen, holding a half-filled wine glass, when my mother laughed. Not a warm laugh, not a loving one, but that sharp, cutting laugh that makes your stomach drop before you even know why. "Oh, honey," she said loudly, glancing around the dining table. "Maybe next Christmas you'll finally have something to show for yourself." The room went quiet. Every single cousin, every aunt, my sister, even my uncle mid-chew, all eyes turned toward me. My cheeks burned so fast I swear I could feel my pulse in my ears. This was Christmas, and my mom had just turned me into the punchline. I forced a smile, because that's what I'd been trained to do my entire life. Smile, nod, swallow it. But inside something cracked. Let me rewind a bit, because this didn't come out of nowhere. My younger sister, Emily, had just bought a house. A beautiful one, too. White exterior, 2-car garage, open kitchen, the kind of place realtors gush over. And my mother had made sure everyone knew it. From the moment guests walked in, she was practically dragging them to her phone. "Have you seen Emily's house? Did she show you the photos?" Can you believe she did this all on her own? I sat on the couch, nursing my drink, listening to my name stay completely absent from every conversation. That was normal. Growing up, Emily was the golden child. Straight A's, cheerleading, scholarships, or at least that's how the story was told. I was the creative one, which in my family was just a polite way of saying not impressive enough. I didn't cause trouble. I didn't rebel. I didn't scream for attention. I just disappeared quietly into the background. But here's the part no one knew. By the time that Christmas rolled around, I wasn't struggling. I wasn't behind. I wasn't lost. I was hiding. Dinner was served, and we all gathered around the table. The smell of roast turkey and cinnamon candles filled the room, but my appetite was gone. I could feel it coming, that familiar tightening in my chest whenever my mom took control of the room. She lifted her wine glass. "I just want to say how proud I am of Emily," she announced. "Buying a house at her age? That's real adulthood." She paused, then glanced at me. Some people take longer to figure things out. A few awkward chuckles followed. I stared at my plate, my fork frozen in my hand. My sister didn't say a word. She just smiled. That small, satisfied smile she'd perfected over the years. The one that said I won again without ever opening her mouth. And that's when my mom delivered the final blow. "She's renting, you know," she said casually, like she was commenting on the weather. "Still hasn't settled down. No house, no stability. But hey, everyone moves at their own pace." Something inside me went cold. I looked up slowly and met her eyes. She didn't look guilty. She looked proud. That's when I realized something very important. This wasn't teasing. This was intentional. She wanted me small. She wanted me embarrassed. She wanted Emily elevated, even if it meant stepping on me. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked the door, and leaned against the sink. My reflection looked calm, composed, but my hands were shaking. I could walk out. I could confront her. I could cry. Instead, I smiled. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't feel powerless. I felt focused. See, what my mom didn't know, what no one at that table knew, was that the reason I was renting wasn't failure. It was strategy. And the truth she was so desperate to hide, it didn't just involve me. It involved Emily's perfect house and the money behind it. I went back to the table, sat down, and lifted my glass. "To family," I said softly. My mom smiled back, completely unaware that she had just started a countdown she couldn't stop. And Christmas was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was sad, but because my mind wouldn't slow down. Every sentence my mother had said replayed itself over and over, sharper each time. The smug tilt of her head, the way she'd looked around the table for approval, the silence afterward, no one defending me, no one changing the subject. That silence hurt more than the words. The next morning, I woke up calm in a way that scared even me. I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, and stared at the wall while something settled into place. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger burns fast and messy. This felt different. This felt deliberate. Growing up, my mom had always framed everything as motivation. When Emily succeeded, it was proof of good parenting. When I didn't meet some invisible standard, it was my fault for not trying hard enough. But what no one ever questioned was how Emily could afford the life she lived. The new car straight out of college, the overseas vacations, and now the house. A house my mom loved to call self-made. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. My savings were healthy, very healthy. Years of quiet discipline, freelance contracts I never talked about, investments I never bragged about. I could have bought a house if I wanted to, but I didn't. Because 2 years earlier, I'd learned something by accident. I was visiting my mom to help organize paperwork. She'd had surgery and asked me to sort through her filing cabinet. Old tax returns, insurance documents, bank statements. I wasn't snooping. I was doing exactly what she asked. That's when I noticed it. A recurring transfer. Every month. Same amount, same destination account. Emily's name. At first I told myself it was nothing. Help with rent. Maybe groceries. Parents do that. But then I did the math. It wasn't small. It was thousands. I remembered standing there, papers in my hand, feeling that strange hollow sensation, the one where your instincts whisper something your heart doesn't want to hear. Later that night, I asked my mom casually, "Oh, I saw some transfers to Emily while I was organizing the files," I said. "Is everything okay?" Her smile froze for half a second. "It's just helping her get on her feet," she replied quickly. "You know how hard things are these days." I nodded. I didn't argue. But I remembered. So when my mom mocked me at Christmas, when she painted me as the unstable one, all of those memories clicked into place. Emily didn't buy that house alone. She was propped up, funded, protected, and suddenly my decision to stay quiet for years didn't feel like weakness anymore. It felt like patience. 2 days after Christmas, my mom called me. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," she said, in that tone that technically sounds like an apology, but somehow still blames you. "You're just sensitive." I held the phone away from my ear for a second and laughed. "Sensitive. I'm fine," I said evenly. "Actually, I wanted to ask you something." She perked up immediately. My mom loved being needed. "I'm thinking about buying a place," I continued. "I was wondering how Emily managed it. Mortgage rates, down payment. It's a lot." There was a pause. Then relief. "Oh, she's just very responsible," my mom said. "She saved, budgeted, made sacrifices." I hummed thoughtfully. "That's impressive," I said. "I'd love to hear more about how she did it." My mom launched into praise. Long, glowing, exaggerated. By the time she finished, I thanked her and hung up. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called Emily. She answered on the third ring, cheerful and unsuspecting. "Hey," she said, "what's up?" "I wanted to congratulate you again," I said warmly. "The house looks amazing." "Oh, thanks," she replied, her voice brightening. "I'm thinking of buying too," I added. "Mind if I ask how you managed the down payment?" There it was, that tiny hitch in her breathing. "Well, you know," she said, stretching the words. "I had some help." I leaned back in my chair. "From Mom?" I asked gently. Silence, then a nervous laugh. "I mean, yeah, a little. Just temporary." "A little." I thanked her, told her I was happy for her, and hung up. My hands were steady. My heart wasn't racing, because now I had confirmation. And confirmation changes everything. Over the next few weeks, I gathered information quietly. I wasn't plotting revenge yet, not consciously. I was just collecting truth. Bank records my mom had emailed me months earlier. Casual comments she made without realizing. Emily complaining once about having to pay Mom back someday. I didn't confront anyone. I didn't hint. I let them stay comfortable. Because comfort makes people careless. And the thing about being underestimated your whole life, no one notices when you stop reacting. They only notice when you finally act. By mid-January, my mom announced a family dinner. "Just something small," she said, "to celebrate new beginnings." I smiled to myself when I hung up, because I already knew this wasn't a celebration. It was another performance, and this time, I was ready to take the stage. The night of the dinner, I arrived 10 minutes early on purpose. Not because I was eager, but because I wanted to watch. My mom was in full hostess mode when I walked in. Hair perfectly styled, makeup flawless, that tight smile she wore when she was about to show off. The house smelled like garlic and rosemary, candles flickering on every flat surface like this was some kind of magazine spread instead of the battlefield I knew it to be. "Oh, you're early," she said, a hint of surprise flashing across her face. "I was in the area," I replied easily, hanging my coat. Calm, pleasant, harmless. She relaxed instantly. "That's the thing about people like my mom. They mistake politeness for compliance." Emily arrived next, keys dangling dramatically in her hand as if to remind everyone she was now a homeowner. She hugged me, a little stiff, and whispered, "You good?" I smiled back. Never better. Dinner started normally enough. Small talk, work updates. My mom steering every conversation back to Emily's house like a cruise ship stubbornly refusing to change course. "And the hardwood floors?" my mom gushed. "Just beautiful." Emily beamed. I listened, I waited. Halfway through the meal, my mom clinked her fork against her glass. "I just want to say how proud I am," she announced, again. Emily's house represents hard work, discipline, and smart choices. She looked around, letting the words sink in. Then, like clockwork, her eyes flicked to me. "And it's a reminder," she added sweetly, "that success doesn't come from shortcuts." There it was. The old familiar heat rose in my chest, but it didn't control me this time. I smiled. "Actually," I said lightly, "that's kind of why I wanted to come tonight." My mom blinked. "Oh? I've been doing some planning," I continued, setting my fork down neatly. "And I think I'm finally ready to buy too." The table reacted instantly. Emily's smile stiffened. My mom sat up straighter. My aunt leaned in. "That's wonderful," my mom said quickly. Too quickly. "I didn't know you were in that position." "I wasn't," I replied, "until recently." "True, just not in the way they thought." "I've been looking at places," I went on. "But honestly, the financing side is intimidating. Down payments, family help, all that." I watched my mom carefully. She nodded. "Well, every family is different." "Exactly," I said. "Some people do it completely on their own. Some get support." Emily shifted in her chair. "I was hoping," I added, "that since you helped Emily, we could talk about what kind of help might be fair." The word fair landed like a dropped plate. My mom's smile twitched. "Help?" she repeated. "I don't know what you mean." I tilted my head. "Didn't you co-sign? Or help with the down payment?" Silence. Emily's eyes shot to my mom. "Oh," my mom said softly, "that's private family business." I nodded slowly. "You're right," I agreed, "it is." I picked up my wine glass, took a sip, and let the tension stretch. "I guess I was just confused," I continued. "Because for years, I was told I wasn't responsible enough, that I was behind. But it turns out I was the only one not getting monthly transfers." My aunt frowned. "Monthly what?" The room froze. My mom turned pale. "You don't know what you're talking about." I reached into my purse, calm, deliberate, and pulled out my phone. "I actually do," I said gently. "Because when you asked me to organize your paperwork a while back, I noticed the transfers. I didn't say anything. I didn't judge." Emily's face flushed bright red. "You went through Mom's finances?" she snapped. "I did exactly what she asked me to do," I replied, my voice steady. "And I kept my mouth shut for 2 years. My mom stood abruptly. "This is not the time." I met her eyes. "No," I said. "Now is the perfect time." I turned to the table. "I don't resent Emily for getting help," I continued. "What hurts is being humiliated for not having what she was quietly given." My mom opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time in my life, she had no narrative ready. Emily pushed her chair back. "You're making this sound worse than it is." "Am I?" I asked. "Then say it. Say how much Mom helped." Emily didn't answer. The silence told the truth louder than I ever could. My mom finally spoke, her voice tight. "We didn't think it was your business." I nodded. "And my finances weren't yours to mock at Christmas," I replied. I stood, smoothing my jacket. "I didn't come here to ask for money," I said. "I came to stop being your example of failure." No one stopped me as I walked out. But as I reached my car, my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. "We need to talk," I smiled. Because now the balance had shifted, and this was only the beginning. I didn't respond to my mom's text that night, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because for once, I didn't need to say it immediately. I'd spent my whole life reacting on her timeline, jumping when she called, explaining myself when she demanded it. Silence was new, and it rattled her. The next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls and a voicemail. Her voice sounded tight, controlled, like she was holding something down with both hands. "We should clear the air," she said. "I don't like how last night went. People were uncomfortable." People, not me, not my feelings, not the public humiliation she'd happily served me weeks earlier. I let the voicemail sit. I went to work. I focused. I lived my life. Around noon, Emily texted, "You really embarrassed Mom." I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Funny, that's exactly how I felt at Christmas." She didn't reply. That afternoon, I met my realtor. Her name was Karen. Efficient, sharp-eyed, the kind of woman who didn't waste time pretending. We toured a small but beautiful townhouse. Clean lines, sunlight pouring through the windows, quiet street. "It's solid," she said, "and you're more than qualified." I smiled, because this was real, not borrowed, not hidden, mine. As I signed the pre-approval paperwork, something shifted inside me. I wasn't chasing validation anymore. I was reclaiming narrative. That night, my mom showed up at my apartment unannounced. I opened the door and found her standing there, arms crossed, lips pressed thin. "You couldn't even call me back?" she snapped. I stepped aside calmly. "Do you want to come in?" She hesitated, then walked past me like she owned the place. She looked around, clearly surprised. The apartment was clean, modern, thoughtfully decorated, not the chaotic mess she'd always implied I lived in. "I didn't raise you to behave like that," she said finally. I closed the door. "You raised me to stay quiet," I replied. "Big difference." She turned sharply. "I was protecting Emily." "From what?" I asked. "Accountability?" Her jaw tightened. "She needed help," my mom insisted. "You never asked." I let out a short laugh. "You're right, I didn't ask because I knew the answer." She scoffed. "That's not fair." "No," I said calmly. "What's not fair is telling the family Emily did everything on her own, and using me as the contrast." Her eyes flicked away. "That told me everything. You humiliated yourself," she said finally. "Dragging finances into a family dinner?" I stepped closer. "You humiliated me first," I said quietly. "You just didn't think I'd ever push back." She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. And maybe she was. "I won't apologize for helping my daughter," she said. "I didn't ask you to," I replied. "I asked you to stop tearing down the other one." Silence stretched between us. Then she said the words I'd never forget. "Well, you turned out fine anyway." Fine, like surviving emotional neglect was some kind of consolation prize. I nodded slowly. "You're right," I said. "I did." She looked relieved, until I added, "And I don't need your approval anymore." Her face hardened. "Don't be dramatic." "I'm not," I said. "I'm setting boundaries." She laughed, a brittle sound. "Boundaries? After everything I've done for you?" I opened the door. "I think this conversation is over," I said evenly. She stared at me, shocked. "You're choosing this?" she asked. "I'm choosing myself," I replied. She left without another word. That weekend, the fallout spread. My aunt called to check in. A cousin messaged me, quietly admitting she'd always noticed the favoritism. And Emily? She went silent. Until 3 days later, when she posted on social media a photo of her house. Caption, "Grateful for everything I've built on my own." I stared at the screen, my pulse steady, because now I wasn't angry. I was amused. And I finally understood something my mom never did. The truth doesn't need to shout. It just waits for the right moment. And that moment was coming. Emily's post sat there like a dare. "Grateful for everything I've built on my own." I read it 3 times, not because I was upset, but because I was fascinated by how bold denial could be when someone thought they were untouchable. I didn't comment. I didn't like it. I didn't message her. I took a screenshot. Then I went about my day. 2 weeks later, my mom hosted another family gathering, this time for my grandfather's birthday. Smaller group. No drama, she'd promised in the group chat. I almost didn't go. But then I realized something. Avoidance would look like defeat, so I showed up. Emily arrived late, of course. Designer coat. Loud laugh. The house keys made their appearance again, set carefully on the table like a trophy. My mom watched her with that same proud expression, the one that used to make me shrink. It didn't work anymore. Dinner moved along politely until my uncle asked the question everyone had been thinking. "So, Emily," he said, smiling, "how's homeownership treating you?" Her face lit up. "It's amazing, hard, but so worth it." My mom nodded vigorously. I took a slow sip of water. "You know," my uncle added, "my son's been struggling to save for a down payment. It's rough out there." Emily tilted her head sympathetically. "You just have to be disciplined." I set my glass down. "Discipline helps," I said mildly. "So does consistent financial support." The table went quiet. Emily shot me a warning look. "What do you mean?" my uncle asked. My mom stiffened. "This again?" I smiled, not sweetly, not sarcastically, calm. "I mean," I said, "it's a lot easier to save when you're getting monthly help, thousands at a time." Emily's face flushed. "Why are you obsessed with this?" "I'm not," I replied. "I just don't like false inspiration." My mom slammed her napkin onto the table. "Enough." I reached into my bag. This time I didn't pull out my phone. I pulled out paper. Bank statements, printed, highlighted. Transfers, dates, amounts. I slid them across the table. "I never planned to share these," I said quietly. "But since my financial life keeps being used as a lesson, I thought accuracy mattered." My uncle picked them up, eyes widening. My aunt covered her mouth. Emily stood up. "This is insane." "No," I said. "What's insane is pretending you did this alone." My mom's voice shook. "You had no right." I looked at her. "You gave up that right when you turned me into a joke." Emily grabbed her coat. "I'm leaving." As she stormed out, my mom followed, hissing something under her breath. The room buzzed with whispers. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt light. Later that night, my mom called. Her voice was cold. "You've damaged this family." I exhaled slowly. "No, I stopped protecting a lie." She hung up on me. The next morning, Emily posted again, this time defensive, long paragraph, vague references to haters and jealous people. The comments weren't kind. Turns out people don't love being misled. A week later, my offer on the townhouse was accepted. I didn't announce it. I didn't post. I moved in quietly. The day my mom found out was the day she showed up unexpectedly with a forced smile. "I heard you bought a place," she said. "I did," I replied. She looked around, taking it in. Smaller than Emily's, but real. "Good for you," she said stiffly. "Thank you," I replied. She hesitated. "You didn't need to go that far." I met her eyes. I went exactly far enough. She left soon after. That was the last time she tried to control the story. And as for Emily, she stopped talking about her house altogether. Funny how silence works both ways. The silence after everything happened was strange. No more passive-aggressive comments. No more helpful comparisons. No more family group chats lighting up with thinly veiled praise for Emily. Just quiet. At first I thought it would feel lonely. Instead it felt peaceful. Emily stopped coming to family events for a while. When she did show up, she was different. Quieter, more guarded. The confidence she used to wear like armor had cracked. Not shattered, but fractured enough that everyone could see it. She didn't bring up the house anymore. Not once. My mom, on the other hand, tried something new. She became nice. Too nice. Random check-in texts. Invitations for coffee. Compliments that felt rehearsed, like she'd memorized them from a script called How to Fix This Without Apologizing. One afternoon, I finally met her for coffee. She sat across from me, stirring her drink longer than necessary. "I think things got out of hand," she said carefully. I nodded. They did. She sighed. "I never meant to hurt you." I studied her face. Really studied it. The familiar lines. The eyes that had always looked past me toward someone else. "I believe you," I said, "but intent doesn't erase impact." She flinched. "I was trying to keep the peace," she insisted. "No," I corrected gently. "You were trying to keep control." That was the moment she knew. She didn't argue. We sat there in silence, and for the first time, I didn't feel like I was waiting for her to understand me. I didn't need her to. Because I finally understood myself. A month later, Emily reached out. Just one text. I didn't realize how much Mom helped me until you said it out loud. I should have defended you. I didn't. I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied, "Thank you for saying that. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, just truth." And that was enough. Today, when people ask about my life, I don't rush to explain. I don't justify where I am or what I have. I don't shrink to make others comfortable. I built my life quietly. Not because I couldn't be loud, but because I didn't need applause. The funniest part? The thing my mom never anticipated? I didn't win by taking anything away from them. I won by stepping out of the role they assigned me. No scapegoat, no comparison, no performance, just peace. And honestly, that felt better than revenge. Whew. Did this one give you that satisfying